would have thought a meditation on life in a zombie film? It's quite ironical considering that it deals so profoundly with death. How most of these zombie movies, the living dead, are meant to be, I don't know, a reflection of modern times, capitalism, if you remember with what's it called, They Live, John Carpenter's. But then sort of the genre itself, I don't know what it's come to represent in its various iterations. I mean, we have so many. But at least when it comes to 28 Years Later, which I just saw at the cinema a couple of hours ago, so you're getting the benefit of first blush review. I didn't think I'd be walking out of this movie so moved. But that's a coming of age tale, a meditation on life, as I just said, a serious, I would say, addition to the zombie legend, and then a very decent thriller. I mean, I would have to say that, you know, considering how 2025 is going, one of, not the best, but one of the better films of this year. And bravo to Danny Boyle and Alex Garland, who return to the film. I wouldn't say that made them. They did start off with The Beach. Then, 28 Days Later, which reinvigorated the genre. Because, I mean, in the early 2000s, I think, I can't remember anything in the 90s that had to do with zombies. I mean, you had Romero's, sort of his series of zombie films. I Am Legend, the early one with Charlton Heston. But I just can't remember any zombie film movies from the 90s. I think what 28 Days Later was able to do was to reintroduce the genre, reinvigorate it, of course, and just give it this, I mean, the first time you saw those sort of fast zombies, because, we're all used to the brains zombies, the slow-moving, not guppy fish, but the slow-moving dunces hungering for brains. But in this one, thanks to the rage virus, you had these zombies, definitely not on steroid, but certainly on speed, crashing into houses. You remember that one scene where they're in the living room and they just break in? The fast zombies was something that sort of completely changed how you would look at them, and that was something that you even got in sort of the Will Smith I Am Legend, and while The Walking Dead was different, but I mean, we'll get into that in a second, but yeah, it changed it changed the script on how it flipped the script on how we view zombies, and even the movie in itself. While I didn't like the latter half of that film, sort of being bound to a single location, that was a sin that both Danny Boyle and Alex Garland were guilty of when they did Sunshine, a fantastic movie for the first half. I would say even for 3/4 of the movie, but then, the finale was just whatever. Disappointing, but still a movie I would recommend. Sure, why not? But what 28 Years Later does is that, thankfully, now that you have 20 years of experience or more under your belt, I mean, while Danny Boyle had missteps, and I don't think I'll ever forgive him for Slumdog Millionaire and the 2012 Olympics, Alex Garland has had quite a career, and he's moved from strength to strength. And I spoke about him when I reviewed Warfare on The Last Picture Show. He has had a career that has explored genres, that has explored forms, and I think that it comes, you see it in this movie. You see the quality of good writing. You just see how good writing, working in concert with good direction, gives you a movie that both critics and audiences have just lapped up. It's a good movie. I cannot, it is a good movie, hands down. Some really interesting bits in the movie throughout, and I don't know where to start. Of course, it's not a spoiler-free review. There are going to be bits and pieces from there because, I have to explain it. It helps, for a better critique. Of course, the movie opens up 28 years later. England, the British Isles, are quarantined. The rage virus did not spread to continental Europe. It was pushed back. So England is essentially left to its own devices, and those devices are being ravaged by the rage virus. One small community on those small little islands, which are very reminiscent of the Wicker Man, they've managed to survive. And on it you find Aaron Taylor Johnson, a good actor. I like this guy, and I have a bit of a bone to pick with the director and of course Alex Garland for leaving him out of the latter half of the movie, but we'll get to that in a second. So it's him, it's Jodie Comer, his wife, who is bedridden, sick with an unknown disease, and his son is now coming of age, he's 12, and the rite of passage for the child is to go to the mainland and hunt, or at least, brain a couple of zombies, or the infected in this case. That's where the movie starts. One thing that hits you about the movie sort of almost immediately is sonically. I think that it's very distinct. You'll forgive me for this, I should have checked the credits right before filming this, but I was really caught up. But whoever's done this, I have a feeling it really sounds like Underworld. I really hope it's them, but if it's not, whoever did this, the music on this one is really good, because it is good, man. It is good. It is something that you've come to expect of Danny Boyle. How it's just this, it's a distinct character. Like in Sunshine, it was very distinct. Underworld did that one. Really good, moving almost to the point of tears. The Sunshine soundtrack, same here. And nice bits of sort of like this mixed media collage kind of thing, where you have sort of the Teletubbies playing over these kids being chomped on by the infected. Then other bits where I like how they're calling on that British tradition of archers, Agincourt, where the British decimated the nobility, the French nobility, thanks to their archers, their peasant archers. And that's this tradition that is now carried on with these island people, with these islanders who have, because of course, there's no ammo, there's no guns, there's nothing like that left for most of these people. They're living barely, by the skin of their teeth. So, they've had to resort to this age-old British tradition. I like that. I like sort of delving into British folklore. So what we see in this movie is that then they carry on. They go on to the mainland itself. And that's where, of course, things start to turn. One thing that they've done well in this, and I like this. I like this, for example, in Zack Snyder's when he did his, sequel to, what was it, Dawn of the Dead? I'm forgetting the one. That was the Las Vegas one with Batista, where they kind of explore, where they get into the zombies. They're not just sort of mindless, or in this case, they're just not mindless sort of rageaholics. They're actually sort of over the years, evolution is taking its course, and they are building or rebuilding, recreating even some sort of society, some hierarchy. And that's what we do see in this one. But you saw that in, for example, I Am Legend as well. You've seen that they're exploring this. So you see that in this film, where you have these fat slug-like zombies. They're crawlers almost. Those are really weird and nasty. But then there's another one, and those are the alphas, and it's explained later on in the film how sort of the rage virus affects people differently, and somehow in some particular cases it kind of boosts the immune system to the point where you have these muscled out like Neanderthals, and they're referred to in this movie as alphas, and they're the big bad. I mean, many an arrow cannot take them down. I mean, it takes an entire bolt through the chest on flames to kill one of these. Those are really good, and that leads to this particularly tense moment, which I won't spoil for you, but I hope you guys get to see that. Of course, in these movies, there's always this bad decision moment, or at least a stupid, the dumb one, where a character, knowing the potential risks, just takes this decision, and that's what leads to the end of, that sort of sort of the existence that they had. That happens in the case of the son who rebels against the father because he sees that his mother is not well, potentially dying. He hears of a doctor who lives somewhere on the mainland, and he feels that he must do this for his mother, must take her there. And that's where this movie then goes into this journey. And literally, I don't want to sound cliche or something, but it's this journey from life into death. Because we learn, we'll get to that in a second. The doctor in this case is played by Ralph Fiennes, who I think the world is just dying to hear a lullaby sung by this man, or just to hear this man put you to sleep. That is the voice that he has. I love this actor. They make their way to him. And I'm skipping out a bit part in this. I don't need to mention it. And again, why spoil the movie for you? But, whatever, forget that. Let's just get to this part, sort of the meat of this. Because that's where this movie became so, I would say, transcendent in that one moment. So it is learnt through his very rudimentary diagnosis, considering that he does not have... He plays a doctor, of course, who has gone almost Kurtz-like, not native, but he's kind of given himself to the moment where he is encircled by the infected. And I think his way of paying respect to the dead, to all these millions of souls who have either died or exist in this sort of half-life as the infected, as zombies, he creates this monument to them. No spoilers on that either. But once that's all done, and he diagnoses her with breast cancer, and well beyond the point of treatment, of course. And I think that is this movie's finest moment. It is a moment where it is a realization on the part of Jodie Comer's character that between the fugue states that she has because of the cancer untreated, she must now accept that she can no longer live. And he assists her in that process. But then also it is the son realizing that now he has become a man. How? There's another bit in this which lends to the evolution of the zombies, but I won't spoil that for you guys either. But I think that is where now he makes a decision where he does not want to return to his island and his father, but wants to take on life and experience it for himself. I was very moved by that, and I think that really shows the quality of Alex Garland as a writer, how he's matured, and he just delivers a beautiful and a fine story. Danny Boyle really does justice to the script. At first, when you had that sort of choppy editing, which kind of brings back the early 2000s, Tony Scott, and of course 28 Days Later and all of that, I was like, is this guy maybe missing a beat here? Maybe he's not, maybe he should tone it down. Like, for example, when you see John Woo, one of the finest action directors out there, but when you still see him still doing some of those, his tropes, his calling cards in his movies today, you feel they're somewhat dated, somewhat, not all, some. But in this movie, I'm not going to fault Boyle on this. I think that they all worked. They worked. The movie ends on this really curious note, and I wonder where this sort of bolt from blue comes. The son, who's almost as irritating as the teen actor, I don't know, on Adolescence, that Netflix show. Almost as irritating as that kid. Very, very good actor, don't get me wrong, but kind of irritating. He's almost cornered by the zombies at one point, and he's rescued by Jack O'Connell, who is beach blonde hair. Okay, he looks like Jimmy Savile with the tracksuit, the rings, the jewelry, the hair, and they have an entire he has an entire troupe of mini-me's almost, like sort of people who look like him, and they're like these acrobatic ninjas almost, killing the zombies and having fun at it. And this potentially leads to a sequel. But what was up? What is that? I'm gonna have to definitely go on the internet today and check that out. But Sinners, Eat Your Heart Out. This is the movie I wanted to watch.